Welcome to my Academy Yone guide. In this video, I'll be going over the build, what items and augments to take, how to play the early, mid, and late game, then I will go over some in-depth positioning examples. The build is relatively flexible, as there are a couple of different variations we can run. We have 5 core units for the comp, and they are Yone as our main carry, Fiora as our secondary carry and to give us 2 challenger, Leona to give us frontline and to be an academy, Braum for more frontline and 2 bodyguards, and Yuumi to provide utility and CC to our team. Here is what the level 8 comp might look like. Here we add in Camille and Kaisa for 4 challengers and Oriana for 2 clockwork. This version is a lot better if you get the academy augment, as then you would have 4 academy. Another variation is this. Here we add in Jace, Janna, and Lux to give us a bit more frontline and utility, and also to get an AP threat with Lux. Here's another variation where we don't run bodyguards. Instead, we get enchanters and run Jace as our main frontline. This is good against AP lobbies or if we don't need that much frontline in general. Another variation is this. Here we add in Galio, Seraphine, and Taric, but we take out Braum, because we need 2 slots for Galio. This allows us to get so much more damage on Yone with 3 Socialite, and it also gives us so much more sustain on him as well. But this version is a lot better if you have +1 or 2 Socialite, or if you have the Share the Spotlight hex, so that Fiora can also benefit from the Socialite hex as well. If this was a bit confusing to you, or you are a newer player, I recommend you just stick to this variation until you get more comfortable with the comp. I will go more in depth on which of these variations you want to run in different situations in the late game part of the video. Yone is our main carry, so we prioritize making items for him first. He has 1 core item, and that is Hurricane. This item scales really well with the base stats he gets from the Academy trait, and it also lets us attack another unit in case we get stuck on a tank. The second item wants to be GA. This lets him keep getting stats from Academy while he is reviving. Since he is a frontliner, he will also take a lot of splash damage that could kill him, and it gives us a bit more breathing room with where we can position him. In addition, while Yone is reviving from GA, his clone will be attacking and dealing damage, and once Yone is revived, he will heal up again through his spell and sometimes all the way to full before he starts taking damage again. QSS or RFC can work as replacements for GA as they give him more defensiveness, but you definitely prefer GA over those two. The third item wants to be a damage item. This can be GS if you're facing bruisers or reroll comps that have 3 stars, Hodge or BT if you need more healing, Rageblade, Deathblade, or IE can also work as the third item if you just need more damage. After we have itemized Yone, we want to make either tank items or items for Fiora. And Fiora wants crit items. IE and Jewel Gauntlet are insane on her, and Hodge is a great third item on her to give us additional sustain and base damage on top of IE and JG. Other items that work for her are GS, Titans, GA, Deathblade, or Hurricane. It will be very hard to get both great Yone items and Fiora items and tank items, so usually you just slam whatever Fiora items you can after you've made Yone items. The best tank items for the comp are Bramble, Warmogs, Declaw, Redemption, or Stoneplate. These want to go in either Jace, Braum, or Leona, depending on who you 2-star or find first. If you get a Spatula, the best item to make is Academy Spat. This is insanely good on Fiora, as she scales so well with both AP and AD, and it gives us so much more space with what we can add into our comp late game. Challenger Spat is also okay, as we can get in for challengers a lot more easy, but Academy Spat is definitely preferred. The best augments for this comp are Academy Heart, Soul, or Emblem, Challenger Heart, Soul, or Emblem, Enforcer Heart, Soul, or Emblem, Celestial Blessing, or Thrill of the Hunt to increase sustain for our team, Knife's Edge, Stand United, Cybernetic Implants, or First Aid Kit. If you want to learn more about the augments and how to use all of them, check out my guide, it'll be linked down in the description. The carousel priority for this comp is Bow, Chain, Glove, then Sword. Since this comp revolves mostly around 3 and 4 cost units, we can play any opener we want to, and then just transition into Yone later. But the best opener for this comp is Quinn with Challengers and Bodyguards frontline, and some other great openers are Ezreal with Innovators, Garen with Protectors, or Warwick with Chemtech and Challengers. Once we have found our comp, we need to make items, and as a general rule, we want to make an item if we have 4 or more components. Some good items to build early game that transition well into Yone late game are Hurricane, Warmogs, Declaw, Redemption, Hand of Justice, Morello, Sunfire, and Infinity Edge. Your early game strategy will depend a lot on how good your opener is. In some games you play for a loss streak, and in some games you play for a win streak. But since we want to go level 8 before we roll with this comp, we definitely prefer to play more aggressive so we can win streak and have enough HP to fast 8. But if you want to learn more about how to play the early game, check out my guide where I go in depth on the subject. Once you get to stage 3-1 after Krugs, you will have more direction towards the comp. The general requirements to play Yone is to have a strong board with a viable carry holding your Yone items, have at least one component for Hurricane and at least one component for GA, and you also want to start holding the core units like Yone, Fiora, Leona, and Braum if you're not playing them. If you are weak in the mid game, typically around 70 to 60 HP and lost streaking, one option is to roll level 6 to stabilize. We do this to make sure we're able to go level 8 later in the game. How much you roll depends on how strong the lobby is, but try not to go below 20 gold. Some good boards to stabilize with that level 6 are Trundle Carry, this is preferably with 2 bodyguards over 4 bruisers, Ezreal with Innovators, Snipers with bodyguards, or Challengers with Quinn or Samira Carry. The other option is to keep your loss streak and then level to 7 on stage 3-5 and all in, meaning you roll until you are stable, which often leads you to roll close to 0 gold. You are generally looking to stabilize off of Yone 1-star and then build a board around him. What you end up with will be different every game, but it wants to look something like this. This strategy is very risky. You will have a lot of gold, but you will also be very low on HP. So to pull this off properly, you need to be very fast at rolling, while also being able to be flexible with the units you pick up. Therefore, I do not recommend you pull off this strategy if you are a newer player. During the mid game, it's also important to scout. This is so we can see how many other people are playing Yone, and this comp can support 2 players at max, so if you see more than that going for it, consider pivoting to another comp like Jhin, Urgot, or Shaco. At the Wolves round, you want to be level 7, and from here you have 2 different options. You can either roll at level 7, or you can go for a fast 8. Since we really want legendaries in with Yuumi, Kai'Sa, and Jace, rolling at level 8 is a lot better than rolling at level 7, as we have so many more options we can go from there to optimize our comp. The games where you do roll at 7 though are when you are 70 to 60 HP or lower, you're lost streaking, or if a lot of other players are rolling down here as well. When rolling down at level 7 on 4-1, it is very similar to rolling down on 3-5. You want to stabilize with a board that looks something like this. The goal from there is to go level 8 on 5-1 and then roll for the rest of your comp there. So try not to roll below 10 to 20 gold, as we need the money to go level 8 later in the game. Before you roll at level 8, it is very important that you know which units you're looking for. This is where all the previous scouting we have done comes in handy. With the information on what the rest of the lobby is playing, we can more easily tech in synergies and champions that benefits us the most against the current lobby. If we need more frontline, we can add in Jace or add in 4 bodyguards. We can go for 2 or 3 enchanters by adding in Janna or Yana and even Taric in some cases if we need anti-AP, and sometimes we can even take out Leona and Braum if we need less frontline and more damage instead. And another way of getting more damage is to go for 4 challengers using Kai'Sa as a powerful endgame carry. And what you add in also depends on the augments you have, so pay attention to those before you decide what your board wants to look like. Once you've hit your board at level 8, you have 2 different options from there. The first one is to roll for Yone 3-star. This is definitely the 1st or 8th kind of play as it is a bit risky. Therefore, I only do this if I have 6 or more, I'm uncontested, and I have enough gold and HP to do a second large rolldown later. The second option is to go at level 9. This is definitely a lot better for this comp as we have so many legendaries we can tech in here. But this will require you to be relatively healthy, typically 40 HP or more, and it also requires you to have 2-star the vast majority of your non-legendary units. But the more HP and gold you have, the less 2-stars you generally need, as you will be able to get to level 9 sooner and also with more gold. If you are high rolling and you're able to go level 9 with a lot of gold, the most capped version of this comp looks like this. It is very expensive to pull off, so you will only be able to do this in a couple of your games. Now first, I will go over how Yone's spell work, then general positioning, then I'll go over the in-depth examples. Yone's spell works by spawning his clone up to 3 hexes away. Although it doesn't say anything about it here, in my experience he targets the farthest away unit that his spirit can reach. In practice, this means you want to have Yone within 4 hexes of the enemy carry so he can spawn the clone on them. Here Yone will walk up to the enemy Illaoi, and now Jhin is within the range of the clone, as 3 hexes away is right next to Jhin. General positioning looks like this. We want Yone on second row to not take initial aggro from enemy carries. You will only frontline him if you're running Socialite and the hex is in the frontline. You want Leona in front of Yone to give him resistances when she casts, but if she is 1 star and not tanky, you want Jace or Braum there instead. We split up Fiora and Yone so they don't both get CC'd. This way, one is able to deal damage while the other is down. Yuumi wants to be attached to Yone to buff him and give him the shield. Now let's move on to some in-depth positioning examples. Against the first guy, the main threat is Jhin. We have Yone on the same side as Jhin to spawn his clone on him. Braum is positioned to hopefully CC the enemy Jhin. Janna is right below our frontline to push the enemy frontliners away, letting us walk up, resulting in Jhin getting less sniper value, and therefore less damage. Fiora is on the other side to take aggro from MF, so she doesn't hit our team with grievous wounds. Against the second guy, the big threat is Lux. Here Janna will be hit by the Lux ultimate first, and Orianna will be hit by the second one once Janna is dead. This way, we can put Yone on the left side to stay safe from Lux ultimates. He will not be able to deal with the Lux at first without going into her ult zone, but this way, we're letting him scale up and take out the other backliners. Braum is positioned to ult towards Lux. Leona is positioned to ult our entire frontline. Fiora is positioned to sneak down to Lux and hopefully target her. Against the third guy, the big threat is Malzahar and Cho'Gath. We position Janna and Orianna on the right side to make sure Sion doesn't ult Yone. Yone is left side to walk down and spawn his clone next to Malzahar and Kai'Sa. Jace is shredding the resistances of Cho'Gath. Braum is positioned to hopefully ult down to Malzahar. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Comment down below what video you want me to make next, and if you want to get better at TFT, join the Discord. We got nearly 4,000 other players there who are hungry to climb. And if you want to get coached by me, the information is over on the Discord server as well. So take care and see you in the next video.